Mason here. 100 days, 100 thoughts. It's the Nave Law countdown to 2026 Syracuse football. Here's Brian.
61 days until toe meets leather in the JMA Wireless Dome, high noon, Saturday, September 5th, Syracuse and New Hampshire. And again, our Nave Law 100-day countdown wants you, I say, to have a chance to go to that game gratis, free, and not just free like in the good seats. We want you to go in the good seats. Link in the chat. The QR code is on the screen. The seats are at the 50-yard line. They're on the Q's bench side. They're down low. They're right there. Like, they're great seats. I have been informed that these seats are top-of-the-line seats. Super Cat nicknamed his Vegetable Garden Tomato Stadium. Yeah. It's sometimes though you got some dangerous visitors out there that you don't want coming into Tomato Stadium. You got to have a vigilant defense whenever you're out there at Tomato Stadium. I have significant structural work going on outside my Tomato Stadium right now, just to keep the dangerous visitors away. We don't want to be like Mexico last night in the Azteca. We want to be like Mexico before last night in the Azteca. We want to defend home turf. When it comes to Tomato Stadium outside. It is, though, our Nave Law 100-day countdown to Syracuse football. 61 days to go until kickoff. Link in the chat. QR code on the screen. Register. Register to win. They are free, people. All you got to do is click the link and do the things. The things are this. Name, email, phone number. You have to do zero other things than that. The screen will provide exactly where to put the things. You don't have to think about it. You put it in, you will be registered. And then on Monday, August 31st, roundabouts this time, we will break out our old friend, the randomizer, and we will pick a winner. And then we will get you those tickets so you can enjoy the opener to Fran Brown Year 3. Looking forward to that. Today in the 100-day countdown, stadium security, keep out rabbits. Yeah, like we have, there's a metal detector. There's a lot, Tronic. We got a lot. We got fencing. We got all sorts of things going on. Especially, can I bring up the screen quickly? Perhaps. I don't have it up right now. I don't know if I ever cleaned the lens of the bird cam that can show you a garden cam, but we might be able to. Maybe the rain cleaned the lens. Maybe it's still smudged. I don't know. It's still very smudged. I need to clean that off. You literally, you'd just see you'd see a smudge. Yes, you get. I turned on get a confirmation email. Kev, we like that feature. And when you do it, it pops you up. As you all know, you're all aware of the Simply Sweet Sisters 315 collection. But when you do it, it pops up information to that right on the screen saying, "Hey, why wait? Go make a purchase now, and here's a little code." So you can, it's one-stop shopping. Well, you got to click. It's technically a second stop. But all of the things are there. We are pointing you in the right direction to get you properly outfitted and properly ready to go with tickets and the whole thing for the start of Orange football season. So let's go back to Friday, which was July the 3rd, around about 6:30. Roundabouts 2.5 hours to our west on a steamy Friday evening in Buffalo, New York. The top player in New York State, Elijah Kimble, made his announcement, and I think we were pleased but not surprised that Kimble picked Syracuse University. So, big news for Elijah Kimble and Syracuse that the Orange are getting the top player in New York. I believe it's the first time the Orange have gotten the number one player in New York, go figure, going back to Averin Collier way back in 2008. He had a wonky career, the running back out of Rochester. Syracuse.com has an interesting list of recent top gets Syracuse has gotten from the state. So we'll browse that in a second for, what this might mean on the field. But it's one of those things where when you have a chance to get the top player from your backyard, take it. Take it. Because, all right, if he doesn't pan out, so be it. Right? If he doesn't pan out, so be it. If he does pan out and you didn't go hard and it's for somebody else, my God. You couldn't feel more dumb, right? I know Mike Hart was never going to go to Syracuse back in the day. He had his heart set on Michigan and obviously went there and had a great career. But could you imagine if, like, Syracuse hadn't gone after Mike Hart? And we're just like, we're not trying. Like, you got to go after, and you got to go after these guys, and you got it. You know, I look at, on the basketball side of things, obviously there's been times the backyard recruiting, Buddy, but, you know, Trish, Routens, guys like that it's worked out very well. And there have been times, Daewon Coleman, where it's not. So, when you look at that, and we look at Daewon Coleman's career, and obviously, his knees were Swiss cheese, and it submarined his whole career. But it's one of those things where, my God, like, Kentucky was going after him. How dumb would you have felt if you were Syracuse if you hadn't gone after Daewon Coleman in your backyard, and he went to Kentucky and had himself a great career? Yeah, he went to Syracuse. Yeah, it didn't really work out on the court. That's okay. I'd rather, there's plenty of recruits it doesn't work out for. I'd rather backyard guys who are that good, get them to stay home as many as you can, and then hope it works out. Syracuse.com said that they went back and checked the list and say at the moment, rankings currently, that Kimble is the highest ranked New York recruit Syracuse has gotten since Avery Collier in 2008. And then they have a list of, like, top 5 guys in the state that Syracuse has pulled since 2008, which I'm not sure if this is comprehensive. I kind of hope it's not because it's really not that many. But here's who Syracuse has as far as their top in-state recruits since 2008. So, in 2008, they got Avery Collier, who's 4 stars out of Rochester. His career, kind of went off the rails. Good player, but then vanished and gone. Marcus Sales, also a 4-star from 2008, locally here in CBA. Decent career. Was he a 4-star talent? I don't know about that. Had a great bowl game. The legal system took note of Marcus's post-career activities, and that has been too bad. Doug Hogue, recruited as a running back down Yonkers way, obviously turned himself into a linebacker under Doug Marrone and had a great last 2 years here and went on to a brief NFL career, so that was good. Wayne Morgan was a big-time recruit out of New York City in 2012. He had an okay career. Devontae McFarland was a running back out of Half Hollow Hills, the West, in 2012. He was all right. He had one really long run, if I remember. When was that? Was that at Maryland? I want to say it was at Maryland. Might have been at Wake. Maybe it was at Wake. He had a really long run. He had the longest non-touchdown run I've ever seen. He broke off like an 85-yard run and didn't score. 2018, the Orange got a couple of top 5 recruits in New York. One of them was Trill Williams, who had himself an excellent career at Syracuse. The other was, if I go back at the time, was more exciting at the time. It was the massive offensive tackle out of the Bronx, Quadir White, who turned out to be terrible. He wasn't good. He was big, but he never got good, and it just didn't work. But again, that's one of those guys. If Dino hadn't gotten him, he would have gotten killed. Malik Matthew was a linebacker out of the Bronx in 2021. I don't remember this guy even a little bit. Who the hell is Malik Matthew? I have no idea who that is. I don't know who that human being is. Caden Brown, 2024. Fran Brown brought him in. Is he still on the roster? That's a good question. I don't know if Caden Brown still on the roster, or did he portal his way out of here? It's probably not a great sign for Caden's college production already that I don't know the answer to that question. He does not appear to be on the roster. Caden Brown. Where is Caden Brown? Is he still on the roster? Caden transfer portal. He has transferred to... What is going on here? He transferred to FAMU. The Rattlers. They have some sort of weird academic... Now I'm down a weird loophole here. He's they have an academic ban? I don't know. He's not at Syracuse anymore, is what you want to know on that. Bizarre. I'm going to have to do a little more research on that. Darian Williams, the CBA product from last year. I like the idea of that. He's speedy. I think he's going to see a decent role this year. Quante Gillians was a defensive end from Rochester last year. We'll see if you see a little bit more of him coming up this year. Haven't really called his name yet. Is he still on the roster? Gillians. Quante. Did he leave? Huh. I don't see it. We're talking defensive line today. I don't remember seeing Quante. This is the thing with the transfer portal in football. My God, it's easy to forget the existence of people. Well, he transferred to Temple. Okay. So much for that. Javon Lawrence. Are you still on the roster, Javon Lawrence? Are ya? Javon Lawrence. You still here? Is he? Where am I looking? Javon Lawrence. He's still here. Javon Lawrence from the Rockland County area downstate. He's still here. He redshirted last year. He didn't really factor as a freshman last year. And then it will be a Kimble this year. So I look at that list, and it's kind of weird, right? Like in basketball, I don't really think about it as the top-ranked players in New York, because obviously the city, it's a different beast when it comes to basketball. Jordan and I talked about it last week in basketball, that Rochester currently has, the city of Rochester, the area of Rochester, currently has 6 natives with NBA contracts. Rochester. 0 of the 6 played for Syracuse. 0 of the 6 played for Syracuse. Which, a lot of different reasons for it, but it's like, how about that? So in football, I look at this list, and it's not like this list of recent-ish top New York recruits magically led Syracuse football to the promised land. There's some hits on here. Trill, Doug Hogue, Marcus Sales to some extent. But for the most part, this is not a list that covered itself in collegiate glory at Syracuse. That said, it's a football roster. Football rosters are large. As long as these guys are not malcontents, I say, and I get it. Like, high school football in New York is not the bee's knees. It's not great. But to your point, Weez, sort of your point, I'm going to go Tim G. I'm going to assume you meant Tim Green by that and not the various basketball players above it. Like, Tim Green, Gedney, like, when you've had the local guys that stayed home and made it big, like, that matters. And it stinks when you don't get those guys for whatever reason. Now, reading more of Javon Edmonds' article on Syracuse.com about Elijah Kimble, now, Kimble has had an offer sheet. Like, his official visits were Indiana, Syracuse, and North Carolina. Here was his offer sheet. Now, there's offers and there's offers, and then there's offers in the NIL era. Like, NIL has made things different. But here's from Mike McAllister's article. Offers from Arizona State, Arkansas, Boston College, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Maryland, Miami, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, North Carolina, Notre Dame, the Ohio State University, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Oregon State, Pittsburgh, Purdue, SMU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas Tech, UCLA, Washington, West by God, Virginia, and Wisconsin. That's a very long list. Now, going back to pre, it's an NBA town. Go Royals. Good one, try. So is Buffalo. So is Syracuse. So is Buffalo. For back in the day. But like pre-NIL, like there are offers, there's committable offers, there's committable for this, but now there's offers, there's committable offers, and it turns into like an everybody needs to turn the key situation, because then there's, and here's what will get you coming out of the gate in NIL. It sounds like, reading only minimally between the lines in the reporting from Javon Edmonds in his article on Syracuse.com, that Kimble both liked the idea of staying home-ish and going to Syracuse, and you look at his high school numbers right now with still a year remaining. Like, some of these, where do the numbers go? The numbers are in Mike's article here. In 3 seasons in high school, he's already run for more than 5,300 yards with 73 touchdowns, more than 2 a game. He's averaging in his career 8.9 yards a carry. So he's a dominant high school player. Already has 2,600-yard games, and he'll clearly add to that in his senior season this year. So the stats are all great, though kind of like Syracuse, Buffalo high school football is not exactly anything to write home about, because the entire state of high school football is not anything to write home about, though Buffalo might be a little better than Syracuse. You're in an NFL town. You're closer to, Pennsylvania and Ohio and all that and whatever. But Kimble also made it sound like, yeah, he felt the love from here, but that whole list, like, I don't know if Syracuse was number 1 in the NIL that legitimately got offered him, but if they weren't number 1, it sounds like they were damn close. Where's the quote? Who's this quote by? His high school running backs coach, Paul Woods. This is on the Syracuse.com article. Blah, blah, blah. Kimble was pursued by multiple college football playoff teams. However, many backed away from Kimble when it was time to commit to him financially, Woods said, a.k.a. NIL. Woods, quote, "You could tell the fluff, because when it got time, when it came down to commitment, a lot of coaches disappeared." All right, so you have all these offers, but again, when you got to the real brass tacks, how many of them were real offers with real money? A lot of coaches said they want to go with another guy, which is okay, but when the smoke cleared, a lot of these guys who came in these offices, they were not answering phone calls. We're okay with that. We know who was real and who wasn't. So, Syracuse was there the whole time. He's getting whatever NIL he's getting out of that. Big Papa Setch is going to watch him play this year. There we go. Hey, it's really fun to go watch like a high level. I love watching a high level high school football player just absolutely dominate. I never actually got to see Mike Hart in person, but I saw, it was the same year as Paulus, obviously. I saw Paulus play in person a few times, and like it was all blowouts. But we always went there in school because like you had to make practice tapes, so then you could do call games on WAER in college. And like a lot of us, we'd go to CBA because you knew, like if you were there for a half, you might get to call like 5 touchdown drives because Paulus was just humming it up and down the field. It was him and Bruce Williams and LeVar Lebdell and a young Marcus Sales might have been there. Yeah, maybe. It was mainly Williams and Lebdell at that point in Paulus' senior year. And you just watched, and it was absolutely dominant, and it was kind of fun to behold. I imagine the Mike Hart things when he had like 300 yards by halftime must have been ridiculous. I just never got out to Onondaga to actually watch that in person. But, yeah, go see Elijah Kimble play this year. If he's ripping off 8.9 yards a carry, he's probably a fun watch. Did his size scare people away? He's listed at 5'8", 190, which is small. But for running back, isn't you might like a few more LBs. There's still time for that. Like small running back, I'd say shorter running backs are more actually usual than not. That might be a little shorter than most, but out of like literally every position on the football field, I think height matters the least at running back. So yeah, I'm not that worried about that. Did it scare people up? Yeah, maybe when it came down to it, like if you're Miami or Florida State or whatever, some of these other schools that were in it, I mean, you had him and like somebody else that's even higher ranked or whatever, sure. But I don't look at those numbers and come away scared. Michael Antonio's turning 57. Today begins your 57th revolution around the earth. You're turning 56? You just turned 56? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Happy birthday. Do not, under any circumstance, send Michael Antonio expensive gifts. Only send him cheap, crappy gifts. Or 315 merchandise. Michael Antonio, I can potentially get you a free birthday gift if you register to join our 100-day countdown for a chance to win tickets to the season opener brought to you by Nave Law. The QR code on your birthday on the screen right now will get you to that. And then potentially I can get you a belated birthday gift coming up in a couple months. So if you register now, I may get you a belated birthday gift of 5 tickets to the Syracuse football game. And nobody else is offering that. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Your cousin played basketball as Paulus. He was good, but a big crybaby. All right. Maybe so. He was always, like Greg's year here as quarterback. You know, he'd done 4 years at Duke on the basketball team at that point. He was always, I enjoyed dealing with him that year because, you know, it was obviously a very bizarre year. Michael Antonio's turned 57. Okay. I think technically, Michael Antonio, if we want to technically get into the math of it all, which why not? I think technically, as you have turned 57, that means you have completed your 57th revolution around the earth and have begun your 58th. Technically, if we want to do the math on it all. But happy birthday, nonetheless. Watching Greg Paulus play in high school football was unbelievable. Like I understand why he chose basketball. I get it because size. Like he was also a smaller guy when it comes to football quarter pick and all that. And he had the offer from Notre Dame. He was the no on air math, but technically 58th, and technically correct is my favorite kind of correct. Paulus as a high school quarterback was so damn good. So, yeah, like if you're out in the Buffalo area and you can go see this Elijah Kimble play, go do it. Go take a Friday night, go check it out because watching a dominant high school football athlete is kind of wild. Just seeing him absolutely shred like other 17 and 18-year-olds. Like Greg Paulus, like this is 2003, 2004 with Paulus. So this is not like the current era where a lot of teams spread it out and wing it all over the place and whatever. That's true. You're rotating around the sun, not around the... I don't know, Michael. Maybe you're floating out there. Maybe you're just like, woo. Yeah, your 58th your 58th time around the sun is just killing it. They had athletes on those teams. Yeah, those CBA teams were ridiculous. I mean, like, I get LeVar Lebdell had a disappointing collegiate career for what he was billed to be coming out of high school. But in high school, like he and Bruce Williams were unstoppable on those teams. But Paulus was also running like, and this is in 2004. Nobody was doing this in high school in 2004. They were running certainly in New York, they were running a 4-5 wide, spread it out, no huddle, sling it attack where Paulus is just directing traffic before every play. Like it was unbelievable. Now, like if you go watch Texas high school football now everyone's doing it and there's 7-on-7 camps and all this stuff. But Paulus was doing that more than 2 decades ago. It was stupid what they were doing back then. Like what Mike Hart was doing back then was even more impressive in some ways, but hardly unprecedented in the high school football scene to have a running back just be dominant and dominate when you are the superior athlete to others. What Paulus was doing at that time was just, it was wild, absolutely wild to watch. And I have no doubt, especially after watching him play at Syracuse, and people can poo-poo his season as the Orange starting quarterback if they'd like. 67% completion percentage that year. But, arm strength was, certainly his arm strength in college was not what it was in high school. That's what happens when you don't play football for 4 years. So, if I have no doubt that if he had gone to Notre Dame and had been the quarterback there, that he would have had an excellent college career. Now, he made a lifestyle decision in many ways. You're not going to get the crap kicked out of you. I think he understood. He probably did not have an NFL frame and the whole thing. He would have had to become the exception to the rule like Drew Brees rather than the rule and all that. I get why he made the decision, but he was a better football player than he was a basketball player. And yeah, he went and started at Duke for most of his career. So anyway, that's to tie a knot on this Elijah Kimble to Syracuse situation. That it is good. It is good to get the number one player in New York. It may not work out, but the working out of it and it being good of it when it comes to stuff like this, I feel are very different things. Paulus walked on water after a game once. Yeah, there was a couple of rainy games. He was on a puddle, and he was just splashing along on the puddle. His head coach, Joe Casamento, used to walk around without shoes a lot, so he might have been in the puddle, just feeling the water on his toes. Interesting fellow, that Casamento. He's still down in the Washington, D.C. area, I believe, is where he is at the moment, coaching it up. That dude, interesting guy. Okay, so there is that. Let's get to our positional preview for the day when it comes to Orange football and our Nave Law 100-day countdown. 61 days to go to Syracuse football here today. Today we're looking at the defensive line. And, man, there are, I don't quite know what the new DC Vince Karras has planned for the defensive line vis-a-vis schemes. But when I look at this roster, and here, I'll read you everybody that is listed on the roster right now that has defensive line as their position. Redshirt sophomore Clark Calloway. Redshirt freshman Elijah Crawford. Redshirt senior Isaiah Hastings. Sophomore Nathan Nyandoro. Sophomore Nisi Ogbabor. Senior Rashawn Perry. Redshirt freshman Jalen Prey. Freshman Walt Frazier Jr. Freshman Alex Haskell. Freshman Corday Houston. Freshman Jarius Rogers. Freshman Cameron Wilson. Redshirt senior Tunmise Adeleye. Sophomore Jartavius Flanoy. Senior Dylan Fontes. Okay, that's the list. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys. All right. How many of those names do you feel you know a lot about right now? How many of those names do you feel you know a lot about? Because the answer is not many. Out of those names, Rashawn Perry, out of all of those names, is the only one I feel close to 100% confident about that I know what his deal is as a defensive tackle type. The rest of those names is question mark. Like Jalen Prey, to pick a guy, and Nathan Nyandoro. Two guys that were freshmen last year. Prey technically redshirted. Nyandoro did not. Both worked their way in as the season went along, but I don't feel like I know them yet. Same for Nisi Ogbabor. Worked his way in as the season went along last year. Don't really feel like I know a lot about him. Isaiah Hastings, the one-time Alabama transfer, now a fifth-year senior, he's been here a minute. I don't feel I know if he can make an impact this year. He's been here. He's played. I don't know. This long list of freshmen The list of freshman defensive linemen to step in and make an immediate impact is short. Very short. Remember just a couple of years ago, King Joseph Edwards. Like Cameron Wilson, big-time pass rusher that Syracuse signed out of the Miami area this past year. Is he going to step on the field as a freshman and rush the passer? Like, that, to me anyway, here on July 6th, that's an impossible question to answer here. When we previewed the linebackers last week, and I look at who they got, it feels to me that there's a lot of linebacker types that may be the ones that need to provide some of the pass rush this year when I look at the roster. Or it's going to have to be somebody I didn't talk about. And then there are 4 of those names I read off. 3 of those names I read off, rather, came out of the portal. And there's one name I didn't read off that is technically listed as a linebacker that may be kind of in the edge pass rusher thing. That name is Keyshawn Johnson. Not to give him the damn ball guy. But a Grambling and UT Martin transfer, most recently UT Martin. He's actually, played 30 tackles for a loss in his career, 22 sacks in his career. Like, he's a guy at a lower level that can get after the passer. I look at Tunmizi Adeleye, who's on his 4th school with Syracuse. Was originally a Texas, or on his, my goodness, how many places has he been? On his 5th school? He was originally a Texas A&M recruit in 2001, didn't play. 0-2, 3 games at Texas A&M. 22. 23, 6 games at Michigan State. 24, 7 games at Texas State. So he was 4 years in without a lot accomplished and 3 schools down. Last year, UNLV, honorable mention All-Mountain West, decent player. He was reasonably sought after in the portal this year, and the Orange nagged him. He's from Katy, Texas, originally. Like, that's a guy that feels like he'll be in the rotation, but he's never really produced at a top level. He has 9 sacks in 5 years of his college career. Jartavius Flanoy is the defensive tackle type who comes from Georgia State last year. He played significantly as a true freshman at tackle at Georgia State last year. Defensive tackle stats are what they are. He had 3 sacks, 6 TFLs. It's not a big stat position normally. All right, is he going to step in and be a rotation guy? And then Dylan Fontes came to Syracuse from Maryland the last few years. He's got 1 year left after playing 3 years. He's played a decent amount of football here. He's played 36 games, a.k.a. all 12 games, all 3 years over his career. So here's a guy coming in at like a defensive tackle spot, 6'6", 290, that potentially could get in the rotation. So the main thing, to Mark's point, I mean, Syracuse's everything was a mess last year, but their run defense was beyond atrocious last year. And, you had the transfers out, you had injuries, there was 9 million reasons for it. But can you stop the run with this group? Because we talked defensive backs, right? And last week we talked defensive backs. And we like the corners, right? We like Peel and Samuel. We had major question marks in the safety spot. We like the linebackers. I like Delorier. I think Gary Bryant can come back and have a nice year. We like the transfer in from Toledo. We like the idea of Dramie Tremble. If we're calling Keyshawn Johnson a linebacker, we like the idea of that. Like, there's some guys that we like the idea of at linebacker where that potentially can be a forward-facing playmaking group, which means, to Mark's point, that on the defensive line, the main thing I need from that group today is, can you stop the run? And clearly, with what they did in the portal, they went out to seek that. You have Rashard Perry back. It's clear to me they made efforts in that direction, Mark. Understanding that stopping the run this year is paramount and was certainly something that did not occur last year. Dare I even look at the defensive stats from last year? Team stats. Last year, Syracuse allowed Oof. 174.9, 175 rushing yards a game. Last year, I don't know which of these three stats is the most damning. Last year, Syracuse allowed 175 rushing yards a game. Not good. Last year, Syracuse allowed a whopping 5.3 yards a carry. Not good. And last year, Syracuse allowed 24 rushing touchdowns, 2 per game. Not good. All of those stats, not good. Dare I pull up the rankings as far as stats last year for that stuff? Do I have anything in the rundown in regards to USMT versus Belgium? I mentioned Belgium right off the top. I have a love for Belgium, but now we hate them. The waffles, their fries are fantastic. I once had a Belgian lady tell me at a brewery that your doctors tell you to drink beer and that she had good news for us, or tell you to drink water. You need to drink more water, and she had good news for us because beer is 90% water. So we liked hearing those things in Belgium, but now for at least one day, now we hate Belgium today. They need to cut those numbers in half, Kev. Yeah, you're probably right. Let's see. Let's look up last year's football. Select a team. I would like to select Syracuse. Where are some of these ranks nationally and in the conference? All right, so rushing defense. All right, so the rushing defense last year, giving up the Bucs 75 a game, that was 16th in the conference. There's 17 teams. Let's see, are any of those other rushing things ranked here? What do we got? I'd love to see the yards per carry ranked. I don't know if that's something they rank on a national level. Syracuse gave up the most touchdowns on defense in the ACC last year. Number one. Do they have any of these other rushing numbers ranked? I'd love to see more of the rushing numbers ranked. Looking. They don't. That's unfortunate. But they were second to last in the league in rushing yards allowed per game last year. That tells you where you're at. The league leader last year, let's see. Where'd I go? Rushing defense. So the league leader last year was Miami. Well, obviously Miami was really good. They played for the national title. Syracuse allowed 175 yards a game last year. Miami allowed 89 yards a game. So just slightly more than half of what Syracuse allowed. So cutting it in half, not going to happen. But can you knock a third off it? Like, what can you knock off this to get back into a reasonable spot? I'm curious what Syracuse allowed 2 years ago when it comes to the rushing. Let's look at Fran's first year, just as an opportunity to both compare and contrast. Syracuse rushing defense. All right, it wasn't great Fran's first year, but Fran's first year, the Orange allowed 150 rushing yards a game, which was 13th best in the league. So it still wasn't good, but like 25 yards a game, that's significant. That's significant. And Satch, to your point, yes, that obviously, Syracuse's defense just got, like, the offense couldn't stay on the field. The defense gets exhausted and they get run through as the game goes along. Or they also got exhausted as the season went along. Like, they got run through from literally play one, pretty much, of the Notre Dame game. When you look at that, but Syracuse has to improve the rushing defense this year, and it's going to be, if it does improve, right? If it does improve, it will improve likely because of guys that we don't know a lot about right now. And realistically, looking at it, it feels like it's got to be, in many ways, these portal guys of Adelieye, Flanoy, and Fontes. It's got to be Rashard Perry stepping up and having a nice senior season. And then we'll see, like, are any of the young guys from the last couple of years, the true sophomores, the redshirt freshman types, potentially any of the true freshmen? Are any of them in a position to make it happen? Like, the Knicks just won a championship. The Orange have a defensive lineman that's a freshman named Walt Frazier. He's 305 pounds. Well, I'm just saying. The Knicks just won the title. The Orange have a Walt Frazier. I don't know. Like, just saying. Walt. Plug the middle. So I don't know what they're doing. The other thing is scheme. Like, the Elijah Robinson scheme of the last 2 years, pretty much when it came to the run defense or any of the defense, it just left it up like, hey, you 4 guys up front, like, just deal with it and do it. Like, we're not sending run blitzes. We're not doing any of this stuff. Like, we were talking about the New York State recruits. Think back to Doug Hogue's career, right? Scott Schaefer was shooting Doug Hogue out of a damn cannon every damn play into the backfield. Like, Syracuse's defense improved so much immediately under Schaefer because, like, the D-line was fine, whatever, but he was sending Doug Hogue and Darrell Smith on just, like, suicide missions into the backfield just to wreak havoc. Like, that's why I look at the linebackers this year as being so key to this. Like, is Antoine Delorier going to play going downhill? Is Jamie Tremble going to be, like, strapped to a rocket going into the backfield? You want to talk about ways to stop the run defense or help the run defense? Hey, a little run blitz never help anybody. Can you shoot some guys straight up the middle? Like, the amount of times like those Schaefer defenses were just lining up and either showing or doing or both a double A-gap blitz and just coming straight up the damn middle at you. It was all the time, and man, it was fantastic to watch. Sometimes it burns you on the back end. I'm okay with that. Like, if you're going to get burned deep on the back end, I would rather it be out of aggression than out of passiveness. Get up in there and go. So when we talk D-line this year, we've been through it. I just read you all the names. To Mark's point, out of all those names, already 15 names, can 6 to 8 of those names in a 2-deep, can 6 to 8 of those names stand out? And I'm not saying be superstars. That's not what they need out of that group, I don't think, with this defense. Can they get 6 to 8 reliable rotation contributors on the defensive line to at least slow the bleeding on run defense, just to give your whole team time? If you can make second down into 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 4, and you got Chris Peel and Demetrius Samuel on the outside, you got a fighting chance. You have a fighting chance, and it's going to be on the big guy, no names in the middle, right? Like, can any of them make a name for themselves in the middle and then do something in a way to at least slow it down? Who's the guy I'm forgetting from 2 years ago that transferred out? Like, are any of the freshmen on this team scrolling? Why did I totally forget his name? Are any of these guys Murad Watson, who transferred out to Texas? Like, if any of these freshmen can be Murad Watson from the jump, okay. So it's a lot of we didn't know a diddly poo about Murad Watson at this time 2 years ago. Like, all the talk, right? Like, new defensive line. We were talking King Joseph Edwards. He was the guy with the accolades, and he was the guy with the social media and the charity and all this. Well, he turned out to be a bust. Murad Watson came in as a no-name Jersey-born defensive tackle and went on to have a freshman All-American season and was absolutely fantastic all year long. Perhaps too fantastic because he ended up making bank at Texas. But, can any of these guys become the next Murad Watson? That would be the question, and there we are. A defensive line preview here on our Nave Law 100-day countdown with 61 days to go till Syracuse football kicks off as the Orange take on New Hampshire, live free or die, on Saturday, September the 5th at the Dome. Remember to register. The QR code is on the screen. The link is and has been in the chat. to get yourself registered for a chance to win 5 free FREE tickets, 50-yard line, Syracuse bench side to the opener. We will draw the winner courtesy of Nave Law coming up on Monday, August the 31st.